Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the session on role of youth in climate change discourse, inspiring solutions from local to global level, organized by Future Climate Leaders Program, a global joint initiative of Evergreen Story and the Energy and Resources Institute, TERI, as a part of this COP27. My name is Ashma Gulati, and I am the Executive Director of Future Climate Leaders Program. I'm honored to moderate this session, which invites us to reflect on the crucial role of youth in addressing the climate crisis. Climate change represents one of the most controversial, yet the least understood threats to sustainable development. It also presents a clear and present opportunity for action, especially from the most affected part vis-a-vis our youth. Throughout history, generations of youth have catalyzed change. To accelerate sustainability, we need to hear youth's perspective and capitalize on their energies and ideas. We urgently need to de-jargonize climate change discourse and provide thought leadership and inspiration among youth to accelerate climate change. This session is a unique opportunity to engage in a global discussion to derive on-ground leverage of climate education and youth action from a local to global level. This session will provide a platform to learn more on climate education focused on youth initiatives in India, Africa, and on global platforms. To begin this special session, I would like to present the Future Climate Leaders Program through a video.
Could high schoolers be change makers for smart and measurable climate action? The Future Climate Leaders Program hopes to answer this question with the Delhi pilot of 50 participating high school teams, learning and competing for a citywide climate championship while collectively building capacity for tangible climate action. At COP27, Ashima Gulati, Executive Director, and twin sisters Anya and Anvi Fen, co-founders of Evergreen Story, reflect on the intense collaboration between New Delhi and New Jersey to co-develop and execute the program with expert guidance from TERI. India has 1.6 million high schools, 250 million school-going children, 85 million are in high school. Invoking the uniquely Indian tradition of jugaad, of doing more with less, the program aims to foster sustainable living habits. It also aims to inspire future scholarship and career pursuits in environmental sciences. Learn, compete, lead. First, the teams learn from globally renowned knowledge partners. Second, they compete in the hands-on carbon challenge, quantifying carbon reductions around homes, schools, and communities via reduce, reuse, recycle, and refuse. Thirdly, they are mentored by our gurus, world-renowned climate scientists, and inspired by a youth peer group that lead by example. We call them climate rock stars. Finally, at 6 months, the competing teams present their projects, and the winner takes it all, a monetary prize and a citywide championship trophy. Throughout history, youth have catalyzed change. Could hands-on exposure to sustainable living guide them to be leaders in preserving the planet they stand to inherit? This outcomes-driven Delhi pilot will help shape a scalable program for high schools in cities and towns across India and worldwide.
I would now like to invite... Thank you. I would now like to invite our honorable speakers to the podium. Mr. R.R. Rashmi, Distinguished Fellow and Program Director, Earth Science and Climate Change, TERI. Ms. Arzu Onsal, Vice President of Climate Change Office, Ministry of Environment, Urbanization and Climate Change, Turkey. Thank you. I would now request Mr. R. Rashmi to deliver his welcome address.
Can I come there? Thank you. Uh, Thank you, Ashima, and once again, very good evening to all of you, and welcome to this session. A very warm welcome to our panelists here, and the two young ladies who are the inspiration behind this event today. Um, so they really represent the young generation and the youth of today. So let me first welcome Honorable Ms. Orzu Onsal, the Vice President of the Climate Change Office of the Ministry of Environment, Urbanization and Climate Change of Turkey, and all the participants here in person and also online. Some of us, them are joining us online, so we welcome everyone. This is an extremely important subject that we are going to talk about, and it's my honor to address this gathering to discuss this, the role of youth in climate change discourse, and then talk about the inspiring solutions which we can cite and adopt from local to global level. You know, youth have always been the pioneers of change at all levels in society, at all phases in history. It is the youth who have actually inspired change, and and we have a huge challenge of environmental sustainability before us. So it's not enough just for the governments and the corporates and the rest of the civil society to take lead here, unless these values and these global expectations are internalized by the youth and we are led by them. We are not going to succeed. We recognize this, we are aware of this, and then we thought that it is good to join hands with the people like Anya and Anvi, and on behalf of Terry, the Energy and Resources Institute, which is the largest environmental think tank in India, and is piloting this program of sustainable solutions in practically every field with the involvement of all the stakeholders. We thought we should bring these stories to you. Our Honorable Prime Minister in India, he recently announced as part of the updated NDCs of India a very important mission, and that is Mission Life. A mission for which basically talks about lifestyle, a lifestyle for changing the environment. We all know the Sustainable Developmental Goal number 12, which is essentially about sustainable consumption and production. Now, sustainable consumption is about how we can lead a sustainable lifestyle. And in India, we have been practicing this for pretty long time. In fact, you will be surprised to know that the extent of recycling of waste in India is already 67%. Although you may see the India, you go to the cities and an urban systems of India, you may not be very happy. You look at the waste, you look at the general lack of untidiness there, and so you may not be happy. But in terms of use of materials and the kind of lifestyle which people lead, you will notice that the consumption of resources is extremely limited in India. They are all recycled and reused to a very large extent. But the problem lies in the disposal of waste. And that's why we thought we should involve the youth and bring them certain lessons to them to be able to adopt sustainable lifestyle in terms of not just reduction of consumption, but also in managing the waste and changing the habits and habits across all stages of life, and also improve their green skills. So some of the stories which you will hear today will be about that. Now the mission which Prime Minister announced, the lifestyle for environment, it essentially makes it a citizen-centric movement in which everyone is involved. It's not just the government, it's not just the ministries or corporates, but the intention is to promote the youth as ambassadors of change. And at Terry, with the effort and the cooperation of all, it has been our effort to promote this cooperation and leadership amongst the youth. Without them, we cannot usher in the change. We know that similar initiatives have been taking place across the globe in different parts, and we would like to learn those lessons, and that's why we have requested all of you to be here to learn about the lessons from other parts of the world and mutually exchange notes and enrich our knowledge and future vision. With the hope of learning from these experiences, I wish all of you well today, and let me once again invite Excellency Arzu Ansal and all of you to this event, and hope that discussion is meaningful and really it contributes to our further knowledge. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rashmi, for that warm welcome. Next, I am pleased to invite Ms. Arzu Ansal, Vice President of Climate Change Office, Ministry of Environment, Urbanization and Climate Change, Turkey, to deliver a special keynote.
Thank you, Ashima. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for me to address future climate leaders. Climate change education plays an important role in helping societies to understand and address the impacts of climate change. To achieve 1.5 degree and SDGs, we need to change our skills, values, and attitudes. Therefore, education has a key role for achieving and green transformation of societies. Turkey believes that the importance of education and youth for these challenges. With this understanding, I would like to talk to you about our latest developments as Turkey. In September 2021, Turkey's 2053 net zero target is announced by our President, His Excellency Recep Tayyip Erdogan. After that, we have changed the name of our ministry to by addition of climate change. And the name of our ministry is right now Ministry of Environment, Urbanization and Climate Change. Plus, we have established a new climate change office who is in charge of whole climate policy and coordination within Turkey. Currently, we are working on climate law. And tomorrow, our minister will be announcing our new NDC in his speech as the national statement. In Turkey, stakeholder partnership has always been important for us for designing of our policies. In line with this understanding, after we have established our climate change office, we have gathered a huge council to design our new way of look for the climate policy in Turkey. In February this year, we have gathered more than 1,000 experts and leaders and young to discuss whole fields for the NDC and the future long-term strategy. From those commissions, one of them was just transition and social policies, and education and the role of youth empowerment was a topic which was covered under this commission as well. Out of these commissions, we have decisions on reflecting climate action and SDGs to the curriculum and open up new avenues for education of these topics in PhD and master's level as well. Mr. Rashami mentioned that changing our lifestyle is so critical. I totally agree with you. To achieve climate and SDG goals, awareness and action of youth is the most important thing. I agree. We have already started to green our education in Turkey in line with our council decisions. But moreover, I would like to introduce you our new youth climate envoys program. We engage with all stakeholders in the preparation of climate policy, as I have mentioned. That's the most important one, youth in that process. And right now, we are, as ministry, we are supporting our new youth, young climate envoys movement in Turkey. In 2021, our minister initiated this program, this call, with an official letter to all universities. And right now, we have 209 climate envoys from 209 universities in Turkey. I would like to present you 5 of my friends here. Please introduce yourself. Ecem, Tuncay, Pınar, Onat, and Ceren. There are only 5 of them, but they will be increased. The number will be increased with their capacity and with their studies. That's our belief. And now I would like to give the word to Ecem to talk about their movement and their actions in the future of Turkey. Ecem.
Hi, I am Ecem Ocişler, the envoy of Boğaziçi University. I want to talk about our actions and our plans. First of all of us are students and the representatives of our universities, so there is a lot of actions to take. One of them is establishing student clubs in universities. We are trying to reach more people in our universities and expand our impact area and expand our networkings. And also, we want our universities to be more sustainable places. We are developing some projects right now. And if you want to learn more about those projects and project proposals, we will invite you our side event in Turkey Pavilion. It's changed now. And also, we want to encourage our friends in universities to study environmental sciences and climate change issues, because we believe that solution requires multidisciplinary work. On the other hand, the climate envoys wants to pioneers of green revolution in Turkey. Our main demand is participation in decision making in Turkey, and we want some solid examples about those. First one is there was a climate council in Turkey, and 4 of our friends introduced the Young Declaration, which talks about our demands and our expectations from decision makers. And also, some of our friends helped the presidency of climate change to develop the 8 national communication. And we believe that there is a lot of things to do. We are, as a fresh movement, we are always open for networking and gaining some people and doing some nice jobs. Thank you for listening to me.
I would like to thank for the opportunity as Turkey and for opportunity to raise our voice of the my young colleagues as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Onzol, for the thought-provoking words, and thank you so much for bringing your youth in voice here. I think most of us are really inspired and definitely look forward to future careers in sustainability. Thank you so much. That was inspirational. Thank you. Now I would like to all of us to like dip deeper into the topic, and we'll have our panel conversation and our panelists on stage. So our panel discussion for the first title, it's a systematic progression from knowledge to action, and we would be hearing perspectives from different countries and from different initiatives on how youth engagement and climate education can be supported, strengthened, and also developed. Please allow me to now turn to our distinguished panelists who will be leading us in this conversation. Ms. Sola Zopondosri, Learning Service Orchestrator, EIT Climate KIC. Ms. Vidhu Kapoor, Associate Fellow, TERI. Ms. Aurelie Kalinga, Communications Manager, African Climate Reality Project. And we also have a virtual speaker joining us from India, Mr. Malhar Kalambe, who's a young change maker and a FCL climate rock star. So, thank you. I turn now to our esteemed panelists here to have a conversation. Ms. Sola, Climate KIC is Europe's leading climate innovation and knowledge initiative that has been accelerating climate change, education, and youth engagement. May I ask you to shed some more light into the initiatives that Climate KIC has been putting across into the conversation for climate education and youth engagement?
Is it okay? Yeah. Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity for being here and speaking to all of you today. Let me know with a little bit of hand signal if you can't hear me or if I start shouting at you. A little bit about Climate Kick. We are a public-private partnership. We've been mainly based in Europe, but are now working in a more wider capacity. We focus on systemic shifts. So we focus on building the capability and experimenting with how we can shift all systems. We are all in agreement that massive changes are needed, and in order for us to do that, we need to dare to experiment, dare to change the way that our approach, and in terms of that, we need to build capacity and capability. So we work on entrepreneurship. We work on large-scale innovations across in cities and regions, but then last but not least, we work on education and learning. And within education and learning, and maybe just to connect it back to what you were saying before, youth in general are ready, and they know the challenges that we are facing, and what they need is enablement. And that's what our education and learning programs focus in on. So we really focus on how our programs and how our capability building can enable activated citizens, educated climate change makers, both in terms of the actual participants themselves, but also the teachers and the trainers that are touching the lives of all of these people. And then we want to accelerate climate impact projects in general. And this is important to not be taken away from the education component, because climate impact projects starts in many, many cases with students and young people. And there we really want to make sure that we provide platforms and opportunities for young people to really go ahead and move forward. The way that we do this is that we, in some shape or form, work with our bigger Climate Kick community of partners. So we really believe in local implementation. So what we do is that we bring forward tools and coaching and different access to new cutting edge approaches and methods to essentially help leverage local impact. And just to give you a bit of a flavor of what sort of concretely that means, we work, for example, on something that we call School Innovators, where we work on building the capability of teachers in all education systems to really understand how they can weave in systemic thinking, working in complexity, understanding how to communicate climate challenges in their everyday curriculum. So we help build that. I mean, being a teacher is an incredibly, incredibly important job. So being able to understand how do you work and portray an understanding of climate challenges through your everyday curriculum delivery is incredibly important. We then work on creating approaches like, for example, hackathons, or somewhere where we can bring youth together where they can learn how to collaborate with others, so diversity in terms of what it is that their background is, but also to work on local challenges so that they are not working on case studies, but they're actually working on specific local challenges in their regions or cities, and then we connect them across. And then we deliver and work on different mentorship programs where we then work with groups of students in terms of how to mentor them and move them forward. And I think in relation to what we're talking about here today, I think the most important part is there is already such momentum and engagement in youth and young people. And sometimes we as educators and those who are creating the platform, we need to just step 2 steps back and actually listen. So how can we shift our roles from sort of an educator that looks for and become more of an enabler to really support what is needed? I think that that's all of my time. So that I will leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ola. That actually was very refreshing to hear in terms of taking us 2 steps back to providing the platform back to the youth for climate education here. Thank you so much. Now in response, I look forward to hearing from Ms. Vidhu to learn about certain key initiatives that India is taking to empower youth and the education sector to be more active for climate change.
Thank you, Ashima. And it's an honor to be here with all of you and addressing all of you, just to share a few insights and experiences that I've gained over years. Well, you know, youth in India is a very important stakeholder. Half of our population is youth. So there is no way that, you know, India can overlook their needs, especially in the changing climate, in this transitioning climate. So, you know, India in the education system itself has had environmental studies as an important subject in the primary and secondary education for years. And, you know, there is also a program called National Green Corpus Program that has been running since 2001 in the schools of the country. So there are about, which essentially involves developing eco-clubs which engage in environmental based programs and projects. There are about 0.1 million you know, eco-clubs formed across the country in these schools. Each district has about 250 eco-clubs running. So India essentially has the necessary framework to implement these on-ground programs as, you know, which are necessary for climate action. And just, you know, again, extending from experience, there is a lot of existing awareness which is the basis of any action. So, you know, knowledge translates to action. So there is sensitivity in the amongst the larger youth that some action is required. What is needed is guidance with respect to what needs to be done in these areas. They need very specified knowledge and information as to what is that the youth can contribute in the climate transition that we all are in. So, and of course, as Mr. Rashmi had mentioned in his address, that India has a great value system. We are in, you know, absolutely, and we have inherited that. We have a system and tradition just like African, our sisters and brothers in African continent. We have a large, vast system which helps us and, live in harmony with nature. It inspires us to live sustainably and to keep our needs and, consumption low. We have, looking at the carbon footprint of India, which is only 0.9 global hectare, which is very low in comparison to the other countries. So essentially, the country has necessary foundation, and so what is needed is action. And our Prime Minister again had moved towards that direction with the launch of LIFE program, wherein stakeholders are encouraged to take small steps at the community level, at the individual level, at the society level, right from maybe switching off of the, if the fan is not being used, then you just switch off that. Even that is a small measure, but it will contribute to a large change. So there is also towards skilling, there is green skill development program under the Skill India. Apart from the Skill India mission essentially provides technical training on automobiles, technology, on renewables, which essentially contributes to energy transition. But in order to give training on lifestyle, on wildlife, on forestry, the government has Green Skill Development Program, which was initiated in 2021. And just to conclude, so my message would be that there is awareness, and we now just need to move this knowledge to action. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Vidhu. I would like to now invite Ms. O'Reilly to shed some light on the steps that are being locally taken to empower youth and the education sector to comprehend climate change and to design climate solutions as well.
Thank you very much, Ashima. Hello. Thank you, Ashima. Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be here, so thank you to Future Climate Leaders for hosting this very important conversation. I am part of the Africa branch of the Climate Reality Project, which is an international organization founded by former Vice President of the United States, Al Gore. And we work with NGOs, with community-based organizations, as well as activists across the African continent to create resources, as well as to really advance the climate justice movement on the continent through solutions-based perspectives. So we do public finance research, we host workshops, we host trainings, but one thing that we also do, which is what we're talking about tonight, is climate education. And through our Active Citizens campaign, we use climate literacy to help and support the youth as well as affected communities to make sure that decisions taken about their futures are not done in their absence and that they're part of the decision-making processes. And we do this by supporting bottom-up organizing and building citizens. We're building active citizens, essentially, who know what they want, and we encourage them to be part of decision-making processes at legislature institutions and legislature levels on issues of climate as well as environmental issues. So under the campaign, we've produced a number of educational material as well as advocacy toolkits. And this includes a climate curriculum as well as a docu-series. I'll tell you a bit about our docu-series. It's a 5-part documentary, and it covers youth, gender, journalism, civil society, and community. So essentially, we track an activist from the grassroots level and give them the space to speak about what they do and why they do what they do and how it links to climate justice. And when we launched this docu-series, we saw that there was potential to branch it out and make it for educational purposes. And this is where the climate curriculum came about. It's also 5 modules linked very closely to the docu-series. And in South Africa, as well as other regions in Africa and perhaps other places around the world, teachers are already operating under very difficult conditions, a difficult system. It's really not easy for them at the moment. So we have tried to not burden them, and with our modules comes a learner plan, learner notes, teacher's notes, as well as instructional videos as well, to really guide the process. And it's really fascinating because it encourages students to do activities that lead them to make action. So we teach them how to write a letter to a counselor, or how to design a poster, or how to write an article. So very solutions-based things that they can apply everywhere. And even though it fits very well into the education system in South Africa, it's also something that can be applied anywhere across the world at youth-based camps or any other youth initiatives. So we do all of this because we believe that climate education is absolutely essential if we want to build a bigger youth movement where young people are equipped with the skills as well as the knowledge to take the lead and to be part of policies and solutions at all levels in society. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aurelie. I think personally from FCL, we are very happy to be collaborating with African Climate Reality Project for this side event as well. Now I have the pleasure to invite a young representative from India who's joining us virtually, who's also a FCL climate rock star, a role model for the students in Delhi NCR and across the nation. Malar, I request you to share your thoughts on how to engage with youth and to drive climate education so as to support locally inspired solutions in India.
Thank you very much, Ashima. It's a pleasure to be on this panel. I'm basically the founder of a youth community called as Beach Please, which is based out of Mumbai in India. Beach Please is basically working for environmental conservation through youth participation since 2017. We primarily conduct weekly beach cleanup drives in and around Mumbai. Apart from weekly cleanup drives, we also organize sensitization programs for the schools, students, college students, and for the local communities. The Beach Please community has conducted more than 450 cleanup drives in the last 5 years. The community has successfully managed to clean and dispose more than 7.5 million kgs of garbage in a span of 252 weeks and counting, and has also engaged more than 2.8 lakh citizens in the initiative over this period. India has more than 50% of its population below the age of 25 and more than 65% below the age of 35. Since Beach Please is a community by the youth and for the youth, 90% of our volunteers are school and college students. One of the most significant issues affecting young people in India right now is climate change. For someone like me who founded a youth community at the age of 19, I've learned through my experience that environment is not a subject that you can study about in your classrooms. You need to experience and feel the environmental issues in order to understand it better. Through our campaign, we've been trying to provide experiential learning related to environmental issues to the children and youth, and also provide a platform to act towards solving these issues. Though beach cleanup drives is not a sustainable solution to solve the climate concerns, but we believe that it is a very effective tool of sensitizing the masses. At times, we have children as young as 6-year-old participating at the cleanup drives. Such young volunteers are not very effective in cleaning the beaches, but the cleanups are best way to introduce these kids to the nature and its related issues. Through our campaign, we aim at creating more young environmentalists and youth leaders who can be the torch bearers in their respective communities in the fight against climate change. The world leaders and governments need to emphasize and give more importance to grassroots level initiatives, because the world is not changed by your opinion, but by your example. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Malar. You can hear a round of applause coming from Egypt here. Thank you so much for joining in and helping us. I thank all our distinguished panelists for their insights and strong commitments to take this forward. Thank you. We will now move forward to hear about the experiences from the Delhi pilot of Future Climate Leaders program. I have the pleasure to invite Ms. Vidhu Kapoor. Ms. Anya and Anvi, co-founders of Evergreen Story, and our honorable special guest tonight, Ms. Joanne Manda, Senior SDG Investment Advisor, Sustainable Finance Hub from UNDP. Thank you. Vidhu, the floor is all yours.
We have all seen a beautiful movie right in the beginning of the Future Climate Leader program, which is which has been co-developed by Evergreen Story and Terry. And it has been supported by a diverse group of knowledge partners. And of course, our gurus and the climate rockstar, which are integral part of the program. Just to give you a background of Terry, the Energy and Resources Institute, it is one of the... Terry is India's largest institute working in the area of climate change and sustainability. It was established in 1974, and it is dedicated in the space of energy. Terry has the mission to usher transition to cleaner and sustainable futures through the conservation and efficient use of energy and other resources, and innovative ways of minimizing and reusing waste. So, you know, just an extension from what I was talking about, that there is a need for action. We have done a lot of talking, there is a lot of sensitization, but what we need today on the ground is action. A collective effort from the group of youth to the household, to larger community. And the urgency to act is there, and we have to act now. Not just in terms of government policies and corporates, but commitment from all of us. And this shows why do we need that, you know, commitment from all. Today, our consumption is not sustainable at all. We need about 2.5 Earth to really feed ourselves, to meet our needs, and they are growing with time. We really need to reduce and be more sustainable, be more involved, be more conscious of what actions we take, what we consume. Do we really need it? That is the question we need to ask ourselves. And so, this mission life is very important for India, not just the youth, but the households, but the communities, and the society. The mission life was launched at COP26 in Glasgow last year. It is a mass movement and a call for action made by Honorable Prime Minister Modi, Narendra Modi, for mindful and deliberate utilization instead of mindless and destructive consumption, to protect and preserve our environment. So the Future Climate Leader program takes its vision from the program life, and it has three key objectives. It aims to de-jargonize climate change discourse to a level that students can really take an action on. It provides that information necessary for the students, and thus empowering them with skills to apply these learning into climate solution, and help them build a movement which will result into green economy. So the focus area of the program are household waste, eating right, and sustainable mensuration. It is a 6-month-long city-wide climate change competition, which is essentially for the age group of 14 to 18 years, currently in a pilot mode in the Delhi NCR region. We have about 50 schools already participating with us, and we are reaching out to roughly 2,000 students in these schools. So the 3 stages of engagement, that is learn, compete, and lead. So when I say learn, I mean that the information of climate change is broken down into capsules, which the students will, you know, really be able to apply in their daily lives. This is done through the dissemination of this information is done through several workshops and seminars organized online, and also with one-on-one interaction with the students that we have on a very frequent basis. To support the knowledge, we have also learning material developed for these students in form of handbook, and also the website, which is very engaging and interactive for the students to take on and read as and when they find time and convenience. The compete phase essentially encourages the students to review, go back to the dustbins and understand what is that that they can really reduce from what they are consuming. They essentially identify one object that they would want to reduce from the dustbin and hence reduce the carbon emissions from. And this they can achieve at household level or the community level or the school level. The last phase, which is the lead phase, essentially is a felicitation of the students, of the the young leaders who have really taken charge of their lives and taken a pledge to reduce these emissions. And the lead phase also provides a platform to these students to network with government, with the academics, with research and industry to essentially understand how they can really, this initiative of theirs can really take a sustainable shape and form. So it's, of the 3 focus areas, we are expecting 6 outcomes, 6 target behaviors essentially, which is segregation of waste at source, composting of wet waste, minimizing food wastage, promotion of circular economy in consumer products by adoption of 3 R's, reduce, reuse and recycle, adoption of plant-based diet, sustainable menstruation practices, and promotion of menstrual health and hygiene management. The expected impacts of for the youth from the program are change of mindset of the student, teacher, household and communities, adoption of targeted practices, increase in demand of environmentally sustainable goods and services, and different models of ecopreneurship emerging from the programs. Like I was saying, that we have about 50 schools engaging with us and about 2,000 students. Let's hear from one of our participating students, Mr. Naman Sonpar. He's a 9th grade student from Sri Ram Millennium School, Noida, India. Let's hear what he has to say.
I request you all to close your eyes and imagine that you are out on an early morning walk. The sky is clear, the sun is rising, and the birds are chirping. How charming. Now imagine that same walk, but in the year 2022, in a street in Delhi, India. I know what you're imagining right now is a sky full of pollution. Unfortunately, my generation was born into this. We haven't seen those bright mornings with clear skies. Well, except during the lockdown, of course. All this points towards the fact that climate change is not just a science problem, but also a reflection of our moral values. Namaste, everyone. I am Naman Sonpar, a student of grade 9 from the Sri Ram Millennium School, Noida. I am representing the youth of India with the Future Climate Leaders Program. I'm the founder of a youth-led group called Hari Koshish, a young campaigner at Save the Children India, and a volunteer at Pratyek. I remember when I was in 4th grade, Miss Madhu Bhatnagar, an environmental educator, visited my school. She had a session called Mother Nature Needs Half. Listening to her talk about nature, our beloved blue marble, and how our carelessness leaves a drastic impact on Mother Earth really disturbed me. 1.5. Doesn't seem like a big number, does it? Although a 1.5 degrees Celsius increase in the global temperatures of the world is more than enough for a disastrous impact. I'm a part of the Delhi NCR pilot of the Future Climate Leaders Program, a TERI and Evergreen Story joint initiative. Interacting with knowledge experts and gurus from across the globe, FCL has supported me in breaking down the science behind climate change in a simple, easy, and dejargonized manner to comprehend the cause and action to our daily actions. My team's initiative under the Carbon Challenge is called Project Shri Creations, which aims to manage waste items including organic waste, plastic bags, aluminium and steel cans, newspaper, magazines, and Tetra Paks. We plan to create a new variety of bioplastics from organic waste by extracting starch from them. We aim to start this process using banana peels and eventually add on more items as we move ahead. Other than this, our initiative looks to recycle Tetra Paks in a very simple manner, using the Tetra Paks to create planters and developing a Tetra Pak garden. We're also recycling newspaper, non-glossy magazines, and old notebooks by a simple household method by converting them back into usable handmade paper. The first step to driving a change is to change yourself from within. No change is a one-person action plan, but every change has to start with one person. India, like many other countries across the globe, has a huge young human resource base, giving the country an excellent opportunity to drive change at the grassroots level. I would like to conclude with a hope in my mind to see a future where the now generation, or as I say it, the generation restoration, and the ones to come can flourish and see a greener and cleaner world. Thank you.
May I now invite our young change makers, co-founders of Evergreen Story, Anya and Nanvi, to take on the floor and, take on the proceedings from here on.
Hello, everyone. My name is my name is Anvi Fen, and this is my sister Anya Fen, and we're both 17 years old from New Jersey and are of Indian origin. I've always had a key interest in sustainable menstrual hygiene and its nuanced connections with Indian traditions. There are over 400 million menstruators in India that are in need of sustainable menstrual options. So when we were collaborating with the young climate leaders in India, we realized that we can gain so much more knowledge and bring it back to New Jersey. We were very impressed with the awareness our peers in India have about the climate crisis. And when we first executed the Future Climate Leaders program in New Delhi, we realized it's not only because India is vulnerable to the extreme climate events and effects, but also the youth there is genuinely motivated to protect the world they stand to inherit. So I'm so glad and so excited to introduce our 10 Indian climate rock stars who have done exceptional work for climate action and sustainability.
Hi, my name's Anya Fen. I'm the other twin. I'm interested in sustainable and nutritious foods and food security because of the specific domains for climate awareness and actions in the Delhi pilot. Hunger is a worldwide and pressing issue. The Delhi pilot encouraged our peers to be aware of sustainable food choices. These are also essential lessons that I took home with me to New Jersey. I would now like to introduce Evergreen Story. It's a free storytelling platform with a sustainable heart on a mission to record, preserve, and share humanity's stories. This is founded by myself, my twin sister Anvi, and our dad, Joe Fen. The namesake Evergreen Story has planted fruit trees with needy farmers in India. One memory, one story, one tree. In a conversation recorded a few weeks into the pandemic in New Delhi, I could actually hear birds in the background. This was strange for me, but even stranger for my grandfather, who lived in New Delhi and hadn't heard or seen a sparrow since the 90s. It's crazy to think that even after just a few days of life slowing down, our planet could re-energize with the lesson of hope. I'm happy to share that we have leveraged our love for audio stories and inspiration for our Climate Rockstars into FCL's Climate Rockstars podcast series to raise the voice of youth for climate solutions. I'm also happy to invite Miss Joanne Manda to launch our first episode.
Thank you for so much, ladies. It's a real pleasure to be here. When Ashima asked me to come and speak, I said, to a youth event, you'd see me as very young. So it's a real pleasure to be a part of this really exciting initiative with the Future Climate Leaders. As representative from UNDP, our role is really very much to provide a platform for young leaders to really show us the way. What we're finding is that we're looking at a new generation of world leaders, business people, who have a much stronger sense of custodianship for the environment compared to the generation that's gone before. And so it's such a joy to see the work that you've been doing. And within UNDP, we provide a number of programs, both for training, but really giving that platform for youth leaders to take us forward and to really show their future leadership. They're already leading the way. And it's such a pleasure to see that in climate action, in impact investing, young people across the many emerging markets that we have. We already heard from some really good speakers tonight. So I don't want to take too long, but just to say with those words, very much the great partnership that we have with UNDP and a number of stakeholders. I'd like to, with deep honor, it's a real honor for me to officially launch the Future Climate Leaders Climate Rockstar podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Joanne, for doing that and for being here with us. That has been so inspirational. Thank you so much. I thank Vidhu and I thank Anya and Anvi as well for the kind time. I now invite Ms. O'Reilly to take over the floor from here. Thank you.
Good evening once again. Thank you very much, Ashima, and thank you to the Future Climate Leaders Program for this opportunity to learn and collaborate on youth education. At ACRP, while we support and believe the science, we believe that lived experiences must be valued in climate discussions. There's power in storytelling. And for centuries, especially in the Global South, we've been telling stories as a way to learn, as a way to preserve our heritage, as a way to share with our communities, and as a way to pass down vital indigenous knowledge. This is why we decided to produce a film, African Voices for Africa's Forests. As African climate justice activists, it's our responsibility to protect our forests and to create awareness about nature-based and people-centered solutions. And this is exactly what the film that you're about to see shows. It's an inspiring account of gender, indigenous rights, and restoration efforts in a city called Limbe in Cameroon.
Growing up, I was a very shy girl. I lost my dad at a very tender age, and I saw my mom go through the pain of losing everything that belonged to us. Rural women have been made to know that they don't have a place in the society. As time went on, I realized that someone had to talk. In Cameroon, the government owns all land. Over the years, land has been taken and given to companies who have big plantations and have big ambitions for money. Natural resources should be for the benefit of all people. Where we are standing is 1/10 of how much land has been degraded in this particular area. Changes in ecosystems have led to changes in the climate. The people affected the most by the climate crisis are those who contribute the least to creating it. The lands are bare in areas that used to be forests. When you relate with the people, you realize the forest means a lot to them. The forest is a source of income, is a source of water, the best water. It's a source of food, it's a source of construction materials. Traditional knowledge is important in environmental education. When we go to their communities and we allow them to tell us the challenges they are facing, it helps them to understand that they have a primary knowledge about environmental protection. But what is missing out is the big terms. When we take care of our environment, we are actually taking care of ourselves. It offers us with job opportunities, income, and education. The environment helps our health. This nursery is owned by Forest Resources and People, a non-governmental organization which was established in 2004 in Limbe, Cameroon by a group of young researchers. Here in the nursery, we are going to nurse seeds of diverse trees, and when the trees have grown up, we will then distribute them to communities so that they can continue in landscape restoration and also to conquer deforestation. Forever has grown to implementing programs in these communities, micro-enterprise development skills, so after everything they have learned, they can be able to have proper source of income. So we are in the Live in the Congo community. This is one of the livelihood projects. We had this demonstration hive so they could rear their own snails. This community actually consumes a lot of snails, and the price of snails in the market has risen. Kind of micro-enterprise development training they are giving these women is to empower them financially. Women are the ones who contribute the most in paying their children's school fees. They are the ones who contribute the most in providing the food at home. So there is a lot of weight on them. With the governance and leadership skills we are empowering them with, we believe that they'll be able to raise enough to purchase lands for themselves. Because when a woman is financially fit, she's able to take up leadership positions and she's able to make developmental impact in her community. When I'm too stressed up, I come to the beach to connect with nature. The work is exhausting. It takes off all your energy. What really helps me is the drive I have. If I decide to give up, who is going to do it? As a climate leader, you have concern for the environment and concern for the people living within that environment. And taking action means putting your hands on the ground, making sure that you are not only about policies, but you are also about work that is being done. Being successful is not about you as an individual. It's about the people your actions have been able to impact. When I started with them, they were timid. And I saw myself when I was their age. And I told myself, no, Eri, you're going to make those children come out of their shells just the way you came out. And I knew I am not raising a generation that will be shy or afraid to talk about what they believe. And these children at their small levels need to start having the seed planted in them that we are also involved in bringing the change our world needs. When we plant that seed in their lives, we have planted a generation of climate ambassadors that will not be tampered with forever. The rural people should be the people we should stand for, should be the people we should make policies for. When policies are brought from a bottom-top approach, it means we have understood, we know where they are coming from, and we are wearing their shoes. Women, children need to be represented. This is participatory. We need to hear the stories from the people themselves so that they can be able and be part of their solution. Community-based solutions, where Africans are solving African problems. I am that person that has to stand up and speak to the people and speak also for the people. My target has been the House of Assembly, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Forestry, and the Ministry of Environment in Cameroon. I want those ministries to see the work I am doing and recognize it and be able to push it forward by bringing the voices of these rural people to the places where they are supposed to be. I see a green society with young people raising their voices as climate leaders. I see a future where policymakers are not making decisions from the top, but they are involving the people to be part of the decision-making process. I see an educated community about climate change. Women raising their voices to environmental protection in Cameroon. And I believe that is possible if we are able to make the right decisions now, if we are able to channel finances to the right solutions, and we can boldly stand up and say no to things that need to be said no to, and yes to things that need to be pushed forward. That is the society I'm seeing. That is the community I envisage. And I want to be at the center of that community. I don't want to be missing out. That is where I want to be with the people I'm bringing.
So last week here at COP27, this film was awarded the United Nations Agora Awards. But we're especially proud of it because we're able to amplify the voices of people who have been silenced for a long time. We're able to tell the story of Africans saving Africa. And in the spirit of telling our own stories, from our own perspective and centering African solutions, I'm very proud to hand over to our climate reality leaders to take the conversation forward and to discuss the role of climate education in fighting the climate crisis in Africa. Facilitating the conversation this evening is Nada Mohammed. She's a 23-year-old political science major who's just graduated top of her class from the Faculty of Economic Studies and Political Science. Her interest in climate change has sparked her to participate in multiple projects and initiatives to quench her social duty towards the environment. Our panelists. Our panelists this evening, Ewi Stephanie Lama, the main character of the film that you've just watched. She's the coordinator at Forests, Resources and People in Limbe, Cameroon. And as you heard, she works with local communities, women and the youth to encourage them to use their voices to take part in local decision-making processes to protect and restore their local forests. Noor Mohammed is a political science graduate and curator for the Alexandria Hub here in Egypt in the Global Shapers community, which is a youth-led initiative under the World Economic Forum. She's very passionate about mobilizing action when it comes to the climate crisis. And last but certainly not least, Gloria Kasang-Bullis is an environmentalist concerned about the global destruction of nature. She's dedicated her life to promoting environmental ethics, sustainable use of natural resources, and preserving the natural environment for future generations. Over to you, ladies.
Okay. Hello? Yeah, it's working. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm so humbled to be in this female-led panel on Youth or Gender Day. We're going to be contextualizing climate education a bit, moving it to the African continent, discussing rural, urban areas, and everything more. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So it will be an amazing movie. It moved all of us. It got us all tearing up. So movie provided us with an excerpt of the kinds of challenges faced by rural areas in Cameroon. So could you tell us what the role of climate education could play when it comes to raising the adaptive capacities, the resilience of these people?
Thank you so much, and good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. So I work with rural communities in Cameroon, and particularly I started eco clubs in rural communities around forest regions in Cameroon, because as the years have gone by, there was a crisis in Cameroon known as the Anglophone crisis, which started in 2016. And that crisis led to a lot of displacements from the northwest region of Cameroon to the southwest, which brought together lots of people very close to forest regions, and it led to a lot of deforestation and degradation around the forest. So communities around that area began experiencing landslides and floods. And in 2018, we lost 24 people in a house, in a community covered by landslides, and none of them survived. So my focus has been around women and women, and then I decided to look further into children, because I realized that climate change was intergenerational. And if we have to be able to tackle the climate crisis, we must be able to deal with a generation that is still growing. So they can be nurtured in that light, and as time goes on, they will become stronger in climate advocacy, and they will be climate ambassadors themselves. So with the Eco Club, I was able to work together with the Pan-African Center for Climate Policy to initiate eco clubs in these schools, which started in 2020. And then we have been able to expand these eco clubs where we teach children using arts as a main tool to pass on climate knowledge. So these children, they learn about climate change using poems, songs, music, dance, and drama. And then we are also moving into a space where we are hoping to teach teachers how to be able to teach children climate change and how to add climate change in their curriculum. Because with the Pan-African Center for Climate Policy, we developed a curriculum that we have been using in these schools, and we intend to pass on the knowledge to teachers so we can be able to have a wider range of people learning how to teach children within the school climate change. And why not? We are working on proposals to also get our Ministry of Education to accept the fact that climate change is necessary from a very basic level, so that we can push it on from kindergarten right up to the university in Cameroon.
Amazing, and I love how you're focusing on not just delivering knowledge but cultivating attitudes. And picking up from the last words that you said about having a lifelong climate education, I'm going to move to the urban areas of Egypt with Noor. Noor, I know that your climate educational journey started a bit late. You were 19 years of age. So could you reflect more on that experience and tell us how could you move from being the recipient of climate education to actually delivering climate education in schools and universities?
Hi everyone. Is it working? Right. So I'm also the other twin. We're the climate activist twins together, kind of panel, I guess. So I'm very glad to be here. Thank you so much for this opportunity. So as Nada has mentioned, my climate education started really, really late. It started actually not with the school curriculum, rather with an Instagram post before going to university with Antonio Guterres just announcing a climate emergency. And it just sparked a little spark in my head. What is happening? What is the climate emergency? And from there, I took it on. But it just made me realize there is a gap in the market. There is a gap in the curricula in general when it comes to delivering climate education in Egypt. When I was at school and I was getting snippets and bits and pieces about the climate crisis, it was mainly delivered in a rote learning and theoretical manner. So I never really got to understand the complexity and the immensity of the dangers of what is happening. And that really pushed me to realize this gap, realize the challenge that it's not only a challenge of the lack of curricula, it's also a challenge of lack of language, because there are huge language barriers when it comes to the climate crisis. It's all the information are disseminated mainly in English, and no Arabic information is really disseminated. And if there is Arabic information, it's not really facilitated in a manner where children and youth could understand it in a very clear manner, in an interactive way. And that's where we identified the gap, Nara and I, to try to deliver the climate education in an interactive manner and to amplify the voices of the youth in general. And that's how we started doing sessions in universities. We also participated in beach cleanups that were not only aimed at just collecting the plastics and moving on. It was also aimed at raising awareness of the youth in a very indirect way. And we also started our own project in light of the African Climate Reality Project, where we wanted to highlight the intersection between the gender and the climate crisis, as well as giving the participants a brief overview about the climate crisis through climate trivia. We didn't want to have something that is super complex that people wouldn't understand easily. We wanted to have something that is easy to understand, interactive, and get people going. So we made climate trivia. We also wanted to help amplify their voices through teaching them how they can write policy briefs, because it's good to know and to understand the climate issues, to understand the material, the complexity, the science, but it's also very much important to teach how they can amplify their voices after knowing the problem. How can they use a systematic way in order to amplify their voices, give their solutions to the policymakers and all that. So yeah, that's mainly it from my part.
Yeah, thank you so much, Noor. It's just fascinating how broad the climate educational area could lead to providing leadership and having us here at COP. So with that point, leadership, could you please, Gloria, elaborate more on how climate education could lead youth to be part of climate governance, be it on the national level or the international one?
Thank you very much. We all know how critical the youths are in terms of decision making, and how climate governance is actually very important. And I can bet it with you, we're all here because of climate governance, because the Paris Agreement is a governance document, and the NDCs are all governance documents. And it is very important that we have young people influence such documents to be able to understand governance process as they come. And so this is where climate education play a very key role for us to understand this governance process, for us to know what is in the NDCs of our various countries, what is in the Paris Agreement, and then the outcome of each negotiations from each of the COPs that we, even if we're attending in person or not, I mean, we should be able to follow up with that. That will help us as young people to be equipped in terms of capacity to be able to engage with the government. And this will also help us to have a co-created opportunity with the government to be able to provide solutions on issues around climate change. And that's where participatory governance is actually very key for young people to pursue at every state level. And so young people can equip themselves very well by going out of their way. I want to use the word out of their way to build up capacity as much as they can. I mean, I always say to the people around me, like most times back in my home, that your best friend is always the people that can actually help you to add more knowledge. And then also Google is actually your best friend, where you can actually search up for things, you can search up for informations that can help build up your capacity. I mean, you can't engage the government without having strong capacities. I mean, when you go there, I mean, you only make a joke of yourself, but when you equip yourself with facts, you equipped yourself with good knowledge of what is happening, you will be able to influence decisions, and then you will be listened to. I mean, if you go empty, no one will want to listen to you. But if you go well equipped and ready, you will be able to engage the government. So, I mean, this is where young people play a very key role. And wherever door we have open in terms of governance, we should take advantage of it as young people.
Yeah, I completely agree. But there's always the question that comes through my mind. Is it the role of the youth to capacitate themselves, or is it the role of the government to actually provide the facilities and the enabling environment to actually do so? With that being said, I'd like for you, each one of you, to reflect on the kinds of gaps in climate education in your respective countries, and what are you doing to fill these gaps, to try to address the governments or to work with your respective NGOs and whatsoever. We can start with Iwi again, and then...
Okay, thank you very much. So I just got an admission into the University of Buea as a PhD candidate. And my aim was actually to go in for a climate change program, but I realized that there was nothing about climate change in my university that I could do. And I had to go into the same program I did in my master's degree, which is more or less a repetition of what I'm still going to be doing in my PhD. And looking through the trend of education from the higher level way down to the basic kindergarten level, you understand that children don't get an understanding of, they don't even know what climate change is, and how can a child even decide to have a career in climate change if they don't understand what it is from a very basic level. And working in rural communities, there's climate change occurring, and everybody, whether you're urban or you're rural, you face it. So these people, because they don't go to school, does not mean they cannot be told that climate change exists, or they cannot be taught on climate leadership. So one of the ways that I've been able to bridge this gap, and I'm still looking forward to bridge it, is with the rural communities I work with, I use very basic skills like arts, which I mentioned earlier, as a main way to be able to pass on climate leadership to women and children within those communities. And then at the community level, in 2020, I mobilized my team to organize the Miss Environment contest in my area, which was a contest that brought together young girls to be able to plant trees for climate. So they modeled and they planted trees at the same time, bringing together many over 150 people in one gathering to plant trees within my community. Then this year in May, I was able to mobilize 4 communities with my team, 4 degraded communities, to play football for trees. So they played football, and during that week, they were able to plant 500 trees in 1 week. And the winner of the match was given a cup, a trophy, and alongside that trophy, they were given 100 more trees to plant in their community. So that was a way of us educating that community in using our talents, using their talents that they possess. Then before coming to COP, we organized a climate parade with the eco clubs that we are teaching. So we organized this climate parade that brought together over 100 people within that community, including parents, the chief, counselors, and the teachers and the children from the schools, to parade for climate. This was a means to sensitize and educate the community that climate change is real. And these kids walked over 2 miles to tell their communities that there is climate change and how to go about solving the crisis. Then they planted trees alongside. So as a PhD student, which I just got into. I'm looking at developing a climate curriculum, which I hope that by the time I'm done with my PhD program, it will be accepted at the Ministry of Education and will be introduced at the bachelor's degree level, so that anyone who gets into the university and wants to do a program in climate change can start it from a bachelor's degree level and move on until they are ready to go through PhD with it.
I wish you good luck, the best of luck with this, honestly. Okay, moving on to you, Noor.
All right, so for the first part of the question, is it like should the youth take it upon themselves, or is it like the issue of the government to raise climate action? So I would definitely say that the government needs to do more work to go to the youth, to go to their tables and deliver the information. They always marginalize the youth, even though they are the most they make around 60% of the world is youth. So they need to take the time to go there, to listen to the youth, to give them the information needed them in total to combat the climate crisis.
Okay, thank you so much, Noor. Gloria, in 30 seconds, could you tell us the top 2 recommendations for either governments or individuals as to how we can accelerate the climate educational process?
My few seconds. Okay, so let me see how I can do it. So on the side of the youth, I will recommend that youth, as much as possible, will have to create their own opportunities as best as they can, because at times, and when you have dealings with government, you know that they are very difficult. Few times that government will definitely reach out to you and say, hey, come, our doors are open. So you have to force those doors open. So even if you have a little bit of the door open, you just take advantage of it, and then you pull every other person to come in. And so the youth have a very critical role to play in ensuring that this opportunity, take advantage of these opportunities. And when these opportunities are created for them, they need also to take advantage of them. So it's both ways. They source for those opportunities, and they also create the opportunities themselves. And so a lot of back and forth could come up, but of course we are resilient youths, and so we can always hold that.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, if we can sum what has been said in three sentences, we would say that please do capacitate youth, enable them because they have the power to drive bottom-up solutions, to improve climate governance, and ultimately create a dent in the existing rigid economic systems that is currently fueling the climate crisis. Thank you very much, and I'm going to hand it back to Ashma.
Thank you so much. That has been really inspiring and thought-provoking at different levels. Thank you so much for your engagement. I would like to now end our conversation with Dr. Livleen to provide the vote of thanks. Thank you so much, audience.
Thank you, Ashima. It's been a wonderful 90 minutes of listening to all the youth speakers and the way this program has shaped up. Just to reinforce again, the Future Climate Leaders program is a unique initiative, and we have seen so many new dimensions of this program. What is unique about this project is that it brings together diverse stakeholders, and the purpose is to empower and to equip students to initiate climate action. What we are, for the benefit of our audience, we are witnessing today the FCL program at COP27. With humility, I wish to express that this has not been an easy journey. The project team has built up this monumental success brick by brick, inch by inch, and this journey has been enriched time and again by supporters, partners, and several other like-minded agencies. It is a matter of privilege to have with us today the climate science luminary, Mr. R.R. Rashmi, Distinguished Fellow and Program Director, Terry. Thank you, sir, for sparing time to be a part of this session and for all the continuous guidance and support you've provided to the program. We are honored to have with us Ms. Arzu Onzal, Vice President of Climate Change Office, Ministry of Environment, Urbanization and Climate Change, Turkey. Thank you for sparing time. It was very, very encouraging and positive to listen to our esteemed panelists who participated in the discussion on role of youth in climate change discourse. Ms. Sola from EIT Climate KIC, my colleague Ms. Vidhu from TERI, Ms. Aurelia from African Climate Reality Project, and Mr. Malhar, the FCL Climate Rockstar. You all rocked and we enjoyed listening to you. Thank you for sparing time. You know, this entire program has been brought forward by several people with whom you have interacted today and who have been seamlessly working behind the scenes to put it together. Our colleagues, our supporters from UNDP, Ms. Joanna Monda, the youth participants, Ms. Anya and Anvi Fen, the youth members of the African Climate Reality Project, you all came together and told us so much about so many aspects of climate education that can be spoken about, that can be taught, that can be learned at various levels. We are truly grateful to you. And behind the scenes, all our gurus, partner NGOs, mentors, the schools, the community from the schools who have brought this program to this dimension. Thank you so much. And last but not the least, our audience who have been patiently listening to us, and we expect a lot of more questions to come to us after this program is over. A big thank you to the guests and the media persons who have been a part of the project. We hope to be continuously engaged with you even after COP27. And thank you so much for all your support to be a part of the program today. Thank you.